boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.
Yep. It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. Why and how do I know? Because I said so. And it typically is because the guests that we have always come with a perspective that is conducive to solution-based commentary. And so today we're going to be talking about how women are the answer, or we can say it as how are women the answer, or how can women be the solution? And in particular, we're talking about from a marriage standpoint, relationship standpoint, this gender war that has been matriculating in these past years. And so we have some special guests that are going to be giving their perspectives, and look forward to what they have to say. So the question that we're going to start off with is, how do you typically deal with stress, anxiety, or difficult emotions? How do you typically deal with stress, anxiety, or difficult emotions? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to start with none other than the one that probably has the best voice of them all, Mr. Lost in Translation. How's it going, sir?
Doing pretty good about yourself, sir.
Good, man. Good to see you again.
Good.
What you got?
Normally how I deal with it is sleep, man, because people don't realize how stressful and tired your body is when you're being stressed out. And sometimes you need a disconnect between your body and your spirit. And sometimes the best way to do that is to sleep and give your body a chance to catch up with what's really going on, because we don't understand how stressful it is on your body for you not to be tensed up all the time. So most times sleep is usually the best way how I handle it.
That's what's up. I appreciate that. Hey, and welcome to the stage. None other than the one that wants to go first all the time, Miss Bedazzled. It's Jamie. I'm doing well. What's up with it?
All right. So I actually wrote this down. I typically deal with stress, anxiety, and difficult emotions by identifying the root emotion, like what emotion is screaming at me the loudest in that moment. And then I identify the core issue. This is really what I did. I actually did it today. That's why I thought this was funny. And then what I found out is that it really does lead to a spirit of heaviness. Like your spirit is heavy. And so the Bible tells me that I'm supposed to put on a garment of praise. So I actually put on some praise and worship music while I was sitting here because I was in a mood today. So, and then it worked. So you can't tell that I was in a mood because now I'm in a better space. So that is the answer to the question, because I literally just did it.
That's what's up. So you saying you don't look like what you've been through? Is that what you think?
Oh my God. No, sir. No.
Hey, man, let's appreciate you for being here. Hey, and welcome to the stage. None other than the one that gets the viral moments in this space the most that I'm aware of right now, Mr. Sir Hale Speaks. What's up?
Hey, shout out to the one and the only Humble Dad. I appreciate you having me on. Salute to the Awesome Man Lost in Translation podcast, and to the one and the only, it's Jamie in the chat. So beautiful question. How do I typically deal with stress? I go to the gym. So it's two types of stress. It's the, three. It's the acute and chronic bad. If I'm dealing with that, you have to go and talk to somebody about it. One of the things that we typically do and what keeps stress prolonged is we try to bottle it up and then we just use some type of unhealthy method of coping with it. I'll tell you this real quickly. The reason I go to the gym is the way I used to manage stress. Y'all don't talk about me. I'm looking at you, Lost in Translation. I'm looking at you, it's me, Jamie. Don't y'all judge me when I tell y'all this. It's just between us. When I used to get stressed, I would go and get me like 2 double cheeseburgers, 2 large fries, orange soda, a cheesecake. And I mean, and that's just then. And then I got some Doritos and an orange Sunkist. I'm telling I could go. And that it was a coping mechanism, right? It got so bad to where I almost had to be put on Lipitor because of that. So once you learn how to identify unhealthy coping mechanisms by talking to some people and getting to the root of that, you learn some healthy alternatives. So now, instead of those double cheeseburgers, I just go to the gym, have a protein shake, or I got friends like Lost in Translation, Humble that I know I can call, and we could talk about those things, and it's a much more healthy situation.
That's what's up. That's really good advice. I like that. Shout out to Sir Hale in the building. Hey, and we're gonna welcome she reigns from H-Town, but she was born in a tiny Bethlehem. Just kidding. Nacogdoches in the building, none other than Miss Ash.
I wish my lights would have stayed out so I couldn't participate. Let me stop being a hater. The way I deal with stress, like Sir Hill, I used to be the foodie. I'll take it out on some Little Debbie cakes. The birthday cake, that whole box, I'll tear it up. But my new way is walking. Like when I'm out on the bus, like, because it can get stressful. That's my coping mechanism. Like when they get our park back up and running after this good storm that we done had, I'll be going back to the park up there, because that's really my woosah moment. Because most people call me for the answer, and I'm like, I don't have it today. I ain't walked it out, And then sometimes I use that to just talk to myself. Talk with self and try to see what's wrong with self, because sometimes it ain't nobody. Like I've been driving a bus one day, like, you got a funky attitude. What's the problem now? What's wrong? These people didn't ask you to drive. What's the problem now? I always try to, I guess you can call it self-reflect, and try to see what it is that's actually wrong with me. What triggered me now? Because sometimes it be them old memories that just play back out of nothing because you saw something that you ain't dealt with. And when 2020 hit, being that I did have to drive, I've been using driving as a coping mechanism too. I just be driving and just let my mind just go wherever, because it's really nothing else except for watch the cars. But those are my two main things: driving and walking.
That's what's up. Thank you for being here as usual. And then we got special guests in the building. I don't know much of a lot to introduce them other than what I've seen. I've really enjoyed from their podcast and their Instagram. And they're a tag team, if you will. None other than Miss Shani and Mundi. How's it going?
Good.
Going well. Good to be here with you all.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I'm enjoying y'all energy already. What y'all got on the question?
You want to go first?
Well, handling stress is kind of, it goes multiple ways. It just depends on where the stress is coming from. Mm-hmm. If it's work related, I handle it one way. If it's kids or my spouse,
hey, keep it real for sure.
I handle it, ultimately we talk it out, right? So this is our thing.
Yeah.
Our coping, how we cope with it is we talk it out with each other. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, I may not want to hear what she has to say. She may not want to hear what I have to say, but ultimately we're talking it out amongst each other.
Yeah. For me, definitely same. I go back to what Jamie says. I would always ask myself, where's the feeling coming from? Right. And then when he would tell me he's feeling some type of way, I ask him the same thing, because generally when we have feelings out of what seems like is out of the clear blue, is not really out of the clear blue. Something triggered it unbeknownst to us a lot of times. But another thing that I do is people fast. I stay away from people. right? Because we just recently did a video and I said people come with problems, and a lot of times they are putting their problems on you. They're asking you how to solve their problems or how to resolve their problems, and that can add additional stress to your life that you don't really understand. So sometimes you have to abstain from people.
Man, shout out to the abstaining from people.
Mhm.
Real talk, like that makes sense. I do find that challenging though when you have to be around people.
Yeah,
If it's
the non-essentials.
yeah, for sure, I get it. Yeah, for sure. For me, what I've done is a combination of all the things that you all said, but to add to the pot, I listen to some worship music. I actually have a playlist that I listen to worship music, and then the other thing that I do is I definitely pray because stress is one of those things that is they call it a silent killer, right? So it's important for you anyone to once they recognize that they're being stressed, that they need to get to a point of letting that stress go or giving it over to something else other than themselves is what I would say. So hopefully people have tuned into that and they take some of the advice that you all have decided to give to us today. All right, so we're gonna get into the crux of things. And the first question that I have is centered around women. Sometimes last week, for those that don't know, we talked about men. The week before that, we talked about men. So we try to be as balanced as possible over here. So we're gonna talk about it like this. How have you seen women marketed to? Let me get that right. How have you seen women marketed to? And I give you a moment to think about that. What I mean by that is that when you watch a TV show or movie or anything like that, how do you see from the advertisement's perspective of how the woman is being marketed to? Okay. And if I need more clarification, I'll do that. No problem at all. And we'll start it off with Mr. Lawson translation.
Thank you, sir. Most times, women are usually helping other people, you know, and what happens is advertisers offer them an escape from the reality of them trying to take care of people. I don't know if y'all remember this or not. There used to be a commercial that had this lady in the bathtub in the 70s and the 80s. She said, Calgon, take me away. You know what I'm saying? From all the stresses of motherhood and wifehood, that type of thing, and being stressed out. So most times it taps into a deep-seated need for a woman to detach from having to serve everybody else and have somebody to take care of her for a change. So most marketers tap into that deep-seated need for women to escape from being the go-to person, so to speak. And I'm going to go with the new people. I'm going to go with Miss Shawnee.
Yes, I do see that a lot. When there is any marketing of any kind, if you're selling a product of any kind to a woman, of course you would want to make them feel comfortable. You want them to come to get into a space where, yes, that's exactly what I need. But ironically enough, online, I have seen more of a strong push towards women getting back to motherhood, getting back, with their children a lot, with a husband a lot, and them smiling and enjoying it, despite the fact that we are dealing with the 4B movement right now. We're dealing with patriarchy. We deal the taking away of patriarchy. We're dealing with the whole decentering men movement right now. And so I think there's a strong push towards women and family nowadays, because I think that the government is realizing that women are not playing anymore, and they are dropping. Birth rates are dropping in the country. And of course, the government does not want that, because if women are not having babies, then the economics of the country cannot continue as it should. And I will pass it to my husband.
Oh, okay. So this is a good question. So I think it's they do it on different levels to different people, right? So I see Black women are marketed to differently than Caucasian women. A lot of times in the commercials, you'll hear the music is different, right? Because they think that's all we listen to is that kind of music. They don't, put regular music or music that's not rap related to or marketed towards other women, right? So other races get like Pollyanna music, or they show them in a light that's more family oriented. Whereas with our women, I see it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like we get the same type of push to have a family, or can people see us? Can they see Black women with families? Now I see multiracial, so you'll see Black and white. You don't see just Black couples together. It's more now Black men and white women, or vice versa. And so the settings are in more of a family setting. And I would say the younger women don't get the same type of push, like I said, as older women. They're not talking about Calgon take them away, like Law said. They're talking about, they're playing Megan in the background. You know what I mean? So it's a different push towards the younger than there is the older women.
Okay, I got you. Who you got going next?
I'm going to pass that to it's me, Jamie.
I would just add to it.
You got the new camera angle. I just realized that. Okay, my bad. I just noticed it. I interrupted. That was wrong of me. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just gonna add. It just really, to me, it looks like it's based on emotions, like just off of emotion. And I only see commercials or ads via social media right now. I haven't had cable in a long time, so I don't actually know what the commercials look like and how they're geared to, but it always sounded like it was tapping into a emotion. Because it's assumed that we are emotional and we make emotional decisions based on how we feel. So if we watch a commercial and it makes us cry, we're like, oh, we need to see that movie, right? Or if we see something and it's like, oh, that girl looked like she really had a good night and that red lipstick did everything for her in that look, we'll purchase that red lipstick. It just taps into something that we are lacking, but it is definitely our emotions that they cater to. And so I will pass it to, let's go with Sir Hale.
Okay, thanks. So this is a beautiful question. So I want to echo something that It's Me Jamie says. So marketing towards women is about feeling. If you've been in marketing or psychology, you know that marketing is about psychology. And one of the things that I notice, it's polarity, right? So either you're all that, you're a great woman, and as a result of you being a great woman, you deserve this Lexus, you deserve this Mercedes Benz, you deserve this steak, or you know what, you're not skinny enough, right? You don't have a certain look, and what's going to make you get this look is you buy this, you know what I mean? You buy this product, and this is going to make you. So women have a really hard time. I think it's really it's savage what mass marketing does to a woman's self-esteem, where a lot of times who she sees herself to be is rooted in what the world around her tells her she should be, to the degree where a husband doesn't have as much influence on a woman's sense of self-worth than television or social media has. So when I think about this question, it is definitely a psychological tactic used to make women make moves based on their emotional state and how they see themselves. So I think I'll answer the question that way, and I will pass it to Ash.
Yeah, I know I don't like being last, but just to add and piggyback, y'all pretty much hit it out because when you look at it, it's either you're independent and you're out drinking, or you're with the mom vehicle. What is it? The new Toyota, whichever one they pushing, whichever one. It's like you either or. It's very rare that you see a Black woman with a family. It's either you're power driven, you're out in front. Because what is it? I think it's Marshalls. They have a commercial where they're just out looking for the looks to bring us the good deals. It just depends on who they're targeting and who's watching TV at that hour, because they know most people depending on who you are, you're going to get like the commercials about your health. Like if you're older, they're pushing some type of drug or some type of shot. Then when you get later on into the TV, you start seeing a drink or two or a club or something like that, or some type of fast food. So when you get later in the hour, they're pushing fast food, the chips, the Cheetos, because kids staying up past bedtime because pretty much all kids got a TV in their room so they can see whatever. So it just depends on, to me, who they're marketing to. You got the younger woman, she's trying to fit into this club vibe. I don't know if y'all seen that. What is it? The Virgin Mobile. I'm sorry, not Virgin Mobile, but the Virgin Voyage for the cruise ship, where the women out there, they're just drinking it up, having a good time. Then you see the couple come in, but it's mostly following the woman being independent. So it's just depending on, like y'all said, who they marketing to, or the age group. I'm put it that way: the age group of the woman that they're marketing to.
That's good. I would say the way that they are marketing to women is to keep them single. That's what I would kind of navigate towards based on what I've seen. However, I did do a little bit of research to go to what Ms. Shani said, that there has been a shift in last year to this year to try to do more family oriented type commercials. However, even though they've done that, they've also, you would have to redo what you've already done, which is program women to be the independent woman, even inside of a relationship and a marriage, right? So what they have done in the, I guess, for since the 80s, I want to say, Working Hard, 9 to 5, Dolly Parton, right? They've made it to where women should be single, and that's the best life that they can have. So that's the reason why I wanted to kind of start there, is because it transitions me to talking about the young man named Harrison Butker. Have y'all heard him? Harrison Butker. I did send the link. If I didn't, I apologize. It was 20 minutes long, so I'll kind of paraphrase what was happening and how the media took a portion of what he said and made it their story for the week. So Harrison Butker is a NFL kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. He kicked the longest field goal in NFL history, XYZ. Now, he is at a college called Benedict College. Benedict College is literally a Catholic school. So he's speaking to them from the disposition as a Catholic. And so one of the things that he said, amongst a lot of things that he said, because he talked about the president, he talked about leaders, he talked about anybody that wears the hat of Catholicism and how their behavior is not what it should be. And then he transitioned to say about what we'll talk about tonight, which is, he said that let's see if I can read it out. It said, he said he shared that his wife's life really started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you ask her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. Okay. So with that being said, like what's going on right now, they're trying to cancel him, meaning that even they want him to lose his job by saying this statement. So I want to talk about what is wrong with having the vocation of a wife. What is, or we'll go different question, because I think that's a bad question. What are your thoughts on the vocation of a mother? What is your thoughts on the vocation of a mother? Okay, and we'll start with Sir Hale. What are your thoughts on the vocation of a mother?
So that's a super loaded question. So I'm going to do my best to be brief. Really great question. It is prolific, and I don't just mean somebody having children, because that's not what a mother is. A mother is somebody whose aim is to produce children who grow up to be productive citizens who contribute to society in a meaningful way. If you add the layer of faith on top of that, then we know that we're raising children with all those things, but the aim is to please God in all that we say and all that we do. I do think that in America, motherhood is Motherhood is almost like an attribute. It's not a calling, right? So I made a post and I got cussed out, several times on this, but I made a post talking about how that motherhood is not something you just do. You have kids, you got kids in the home, you're managing your kids. Like motherhood is really about ministry. Is you're literally dedicating your life to pour into children and to shape their mentality, right? You're the first person in terms of their relationship dynamics. They see how their mama works. That in terms of temperament, they see mom. And today we don't treat it as seriously. We just having babies. We just having kids. And motherhood is evoked. A single mother starts a business. Single mother, overcomes odds and gets her master's degree, right? It's almost like that motherhood is attached to something else. But if you just say, I'm a mother, then somehow you're not living up to your potential, and it's the patriarchy, it's oppression that's keeping you in this mentality that all you can do is be a pregnant wife, making babies. And the issue is not that the world sees it that way. I have no issues with the world, the contemporary society. They are doing what they're supposed to do. The issue I have is people of faith who have adopted the secular beliefs of what family should be, and to the degree where we don't live out the scriptures. We know that being a husband and a wife is a representation of God's love for his people, and that when two people are joined together and they're unified, that union is to the glory of God, including the children. And so the issue I have is not on motherhood. It's that the people of God, the church, we no longer see this as important because we have catered to women's prideful desire to be independent, to have a status in this world, instead of us aiming to please God in all that we say and do. Now, I will say this. I'm not saying that a woman can only be a mother. I certainly don't want to say that, because we need doctors, we need attorneys, we need lawyers, we need astronauts, we need mathematicians. I'm just saying that in the realm of faith, wife and motherhood has taken a backseat to capitalism, to entrepreneurship, and I think we have to reverse those things. So long answer, but that's my perspective on that.
That's what's up. Who you got going next, sir?
Let's go with Ash.
Oh God. Okay. I don't like y'all with these good answers. It really makes me think, and then you put me on the spot. The way I look at it is, the today's time, motherhood has taken a backseat. Like nobody's really trained. We pop them out, send them to daycare, let them be somebody else's problem, and then when I get them back, I'll deal with them. Because that's the same way you see with kids going to school. Like I promise you not. I say something, but sometimes I don't, because it's like, why you not at school already? Because I drive the bus. I'd be like, why you ain't in school already? Why I see you? I'm not supposed to see you. Not at this time. But it's like, what is your mama saying? Because I had some little bitty kids on my bus today that was driving me nuts because they were not managed. It's not that you're riding the bus, it's how you're riding the bus. It's what people don't understand. Like if your kid get hurt, who are they calling? Where's the adult? It's like, how do you send your kids out in the world and don't teach them how to sit down, be quiet, be respectful, stop jumping all over grown folks? Like sit down and have some order. Because my kids know I will pop you where you stand. And I mean, that's anywhere, because we have to have order. If you don't know how to control yourself now, how are you going to be able to control yourself outside of my eyesight? I know they probably don't do the right thing out of my eyesight, but when I send you out, you know what I expect, and you know what's expected of you. That's why these kids today, they just running around loose. And I mean that, and however you want to take it, loose. Because I don't think we really put an entrance, the emphasis on motherhood no more. We just put an emphasis on having a kid just to say I'm a parent, and then we go do something else to check another box to say, oh, I'm a single mother with this and this going on. Don't talk to me any kind of way. But it's like, what about your kids? Are you managing your kids like you're managing your business? Because you can still be married and have kids, but are you managing your children? Yeah, you got the career that's thriving, but what about your kids? Because a lot of times you see all these unhappy people is because they got mama issues. Like I've dated a guy that said, you know what, Ash, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a problem with my mama. And that's why I treat women the way I do. I was like, oh. Thanks for being honest. Let me slowly back away because you got to fix that. Because a lot of time that damage is done between a mother and child. Like Sir Hell said, the representation starts with the mom. If the mom don't know how to act, most likely the kid ain't gonna know how to act because ain't nobody taking time with that kid. And I'm gonna go with the new couple, and I'm gonna start with Mr. Mundy. I know he got some words over there.
Yeah, I think motherhood as a vocation is an honorable vocation. I think it's, if that's what a woman wants to do and she wants to be a mother, all kudos to her for that. But I also think that she can be other things as well. She can be a businesswoman. She can be a person who's in the community and doing things outside of motherhood. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think in this day and age, mothers or women have had to become more than just mothers because of the fact that there's either they're in a situation with a person who's controlling with the finances, or they're in a situation where there's no one else around, and they have to be that in order to survive, in order to show their kids that they can be more even without someone being around. I think both of them they can coexist. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think motherhood. And by the way, I saw the whole video with Harrison, and a lot of what he said is out there because he's a Benedictine Catholic, which is old school, like monks kind of Catholic. He's not the normal, or I shouldn't say normal, but traditional Catholic you see now. So his views are very, very extreme, and he even doubled down. So what he's getting, I think it's kind of deserved because he doubled down afterwards and made some really crazy comments. So yeah, I think they can coexist. And although Sir Hill, I agree with some of what you said, I don't think that it's just the woman should just strictly be a mother. I think that they can coexist together, and she can be a person who is more than just her kids or more than just her husband, because she does have a life. She's a person. And so with that, I'm going to pass it to someone who's sitting here squirming in her seat, waiting to get loose. So I'm going to pass it to my wife, Shawnee.
Yeah, I think it's all about balance, right? So I think emotional intelligence in people is a very, 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 very important attribute to have, because without it, you are not going to be balanced in your thinking, right? On the other hand, some people I feel aren't meant to be mothers, right? There are some people that have children but don't have the mental or emotional capacity to raise them properly, okay? And then my second thing is, for me personally, I was told by my grandmother, never have more children than you yourself can handle. And it wasn't based on being a single mother or not having a husband, because I'm from the South. They expect you to have a husband when you have children. But it was based on the fact that, what if something happens to your husband? What if he passes, God forbid? What if he becomes incapacitated, right? What if he decides that he wants to divorce? What if your marriage does not work out? And then you as a mother have to be able to mentally, emotionally, and financially take care of those children properly and raise them to be the best children that they can possibly be. I'll give it to Lost.
Thank you. It's funny that you guys should mention that. Motherhood is a job that should be done purposefully, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Today, in one of our Christian groups on TikTok, I had a friend of mine who was giving a lie. She had just given birth to a daughter, so we hadn't seen in a few weeks. So she had a guest on today. It was just a random guest, and this woman was saying that she lost her husband yesterday. So we had to wind up praying for her. And then one of her words that she was saying, she said, I didn't expect my husband not to wake up this morning. How do you prepare for something like that? And I can hear the desperation in her voice. She needed to talk to somebody. She needed somebody to pray for her. And she also needed help with counseling. So we made sure we prayed for her, and we made sure we got her in touch with somebody who can help her, and also the children, because people don't understand, when kids lose a parent, that is hard. And when a wife loses a husband, that is hard. And being as somebody who's lost a dad and been in that situation and have had to have counseling, personally, I tell you, that is probably one of the best things that you can do. But I will tell you this, being that I was basically raised by my grandparents because my mother and dad worked all the time, I had no idea how important motherhood was, because motherhood shapes how you think. You know what I mean? My grandmother was one of those praying grandmothers. She would always pray for people. And I had no idea that someday I would have to return that favor to another mother who would need that. So when I say this, I want you to take this in, is that motherhood should be done purposefully. You should craft your children in such a way that they go out and they help people in the world, and they know how to do that. Could you imagine if I have never learned how to pray for my grandmother? I wouldn't have been able to pray for that woman in that particular situation when she needs it. So it's one of those things that most women usually don't get an opportunity to see men do things like that. But it's also because of another woman that I was able to go ahead and pass that on to help another woman. You see what I'm saying? So you have to purposefully craft your children so that they can do the same. So teaching kids how to have manners, teaching kids how to clue into other people's hurt, other people's empathy, how to tune into other people's emotions and be sensitive to their needs is something that we all can learn from, not just other women, but men as well too. We can be better empathizers with some of the things that women go through and realize that they live in a life that is totally different from ours. And for us to give them that acknowledgement does more for them than we can actually believe. And we would probably treat them a little bit better if we did that. So being a mother is priceless, and it's something that should be supported by other men when it comes to things like that, because you never know, how you raise your children may be the way that they save and help somebody else along the way as well too. I'm gonna go with Miss Jamie.
Well, this is a great question, and I am a single mom, right? And I have a business and all of this stuff. And when I had my kid initially, I changed my whole life for him, right? I submitted my whole life to Christ for him. I changed everything, literally. So, and then I bought into I need to have a life, and I need to have this business, and I need to do these things. And there's years where I was working a lot and I missed key things. And so now, my son is 2 years away from being 18. And I feel like a lot of times I'm in my feelings because I know those 2 years are about to fly by really fast, right? And at first he was like, I don't know if I'm going to go away to college or if I'm going to stay. And now he's looking at going away to college, right? And that is tearing me up. And so because I love being his mom, right? I enjoy being his mom. I'm getting teary now thinking about it because I've raised a great kid. I didn't expect to have that, but I'm raising a great kid. And if I look at my business and look at being a mom, I preferred to raise a kid versus the business. The business is fine, and don't get me wrong, but this person over here that God entrusted me with, that God allowed me to steward, because he really belongs to the Lord, right? That God has allowed me to influence and to see all of this finally come to fruition. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have known better, I would have got married, right? And then had more kids, because I don't want to be, I don't want to not be a mom. I want to continue. So now I'm going to have to find other people's kids to raise, is basically what I'm saying. Because I enjoy I enjoy sowing into people and allowing them to be great, you know, and be able to know what their calling is in Christ, right? And being able to walk that out and being able to see that you can do that if you submit your life to Christ, really. Like, and so as a vocation, I feel like people have made it a burden instead of making it a blessing. And I remember when I was younger, my mom had always, she had did daycares and stuff like that. And I call what we have. I come from a long line of nannies. Okay. My mom is from Belize. And so like she started being a nanny at 7 years old. Think about that, right? So she didn't have a childhood. She started helping raise people, kids. And so being rebellious was like, I don't want that, but it's a natural thing for me to want to raise a kid, to want to love on children, to want to nurture them, because that is a part of my DNA. Does that make sense? I mean, what I'm saying? And so, which brings me back to Titus, is this something, it does need to be taught, because as you're being taught these things, it changes your DNA structure. And so you want to be what God intended you to be, which is a helpmeet, but that also helps the child meet God's will for their lives. And so that's my answer. I'm really sad over here. I think that's really why I keep getting a funk, is because I keep looking at my son and I'm like, you're really about to leave me. And I really gotta let you go. And so that's it. Humble Dad, it's your turn.
I appreciate your transparency and allowing people to see the truth behind that. You would prefer to be a mom, not saying that you don't want to work, because being a mom is a job. And so as it relates to being a vocation, it's a big deal from my perspective, because I see what a mother does for their children. Those that don't know, I lost my wife, my late wife, some years ago, and what she instilled in her kids, our children, is still on them. I mean, when you listen to them talk, they have their mother's conversation, has her thought process all on them. And at the time we was homeschooling, so she was with them all the time, right? All the time, every day, until I would get home at times and let her, and she would go out and I would take care of them at times, right? But the majority of the time she was with them, and having conversations with them about the impact that their mother had on them is something that can't be replaced, because, it's nothing wrong with, I won't say it's nothing wrong, but I'm going to say it's nothing wrong with a woman working outside of the house, but you're missing a lot of your opportunity to be a mother to your children. Because once you put them into public school, right? And my kids are currently now in public school, there's a different level of having to parent now that they are amongst the demons, if you will, right? Listen, I'm in public education, so I know that's what it is. It's a demonic place. Okay. And so, and they are at least in a place where, when I talked to them the other day, they're in a place where, because they have been grounded in truth, they're able to look and see the debauchery and be like, yeah, that ain't me. They may be considered a square or the person that's not cool, but they're so comfortable in who they are, they're not concerned about being the cool kid, right? And so that stemmed from how they were raised, right? Now you have my current wife, Kendra. She is very bubbly and outgoing. And so as a result, our youngest daughter, Jordana, that's what she is. Even though she was some of that before, like, that is what she is now. Like, there is not a conversation she's not willing to have with you. There's not a time, and it also gets her in trouble because she won't stop talking. She has to be the center of attention and so forth. So my overall premise is that how women look at motherhood, it shines through your kids. And so just know that when you are taking that job that's going to have you away from them at long periods of time, that you're missing out on what is going to be more helpful to them, which is to have their mother there teaching them. It's just the challenge of it. And so, but it's not like it can't happen, but that's just the challenges that are faced, as well as if we flipped it, the man not being in the house, he's not going to be able to have the same opportunity to spend time with his kid. So that's why for me, I chose the profession of teaching, because I knew that I would be off in the summers at least. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not valuing your kids, then they're going to know it, and then it's going to show in the end. Does anybody have anything else they want to expound upon this? Yeah. Go ahead, Sir Hill.
Yeah, so to Mr. Mundy, so I think you and I agree, so I don't think we disagree. So my point was that motherhood shouldn't take a backseat. But so here's a couple of things to consider as well for all of us is the time. So I'm a married man. It'll be 17 years, June 21st, and I've been with my wife for 20 years. So there's a couple of different things. Kids between 1 and 7, that's all mama. I mean, fathers too, of course. I'm not saying that fathers shouldn't be there, but I mean, as all mama. Kids 8 and on up, like I told my wife, this is my time. This is where you got to build the foundation. This is where kids need structure and discipline and order. And I think that the thing that I notice is mothers who, if you look at the woman of noble character in Proverbs 31, and look at what she does. She was a working woman. If you look at that scripture, she was working. She was an entrepreneur. She was busy. She took care of the homeless. But if you looked at the theme of all she did, it was to the benefit of her home, to the credit and honor of her husband, to the glory of God. And what I'm saying is, in our culture, we value what we do to promote our careers, right? Very rarely do you hear people say, I'm doing this to save up for this purpose. It's more so we're trying to get the big home, the big car. We're trying to have the nice life. Put it on Facebook, boss chick, right? You could have it all. It's like, no. First of all, it's a couple things that we need to consider here as well. Kids don't just look at how you are as a mother. They look at how you are as a wife. Part of their worldview for relationships is how you are with the person you created children with. And what I've noticed, whether this is consciously done or not, women who are in the workplace end up taking on tendencies in a mindset that rival their husband at home, right? So if she goes to work and she has a set of rules and responsibilities at work, and that's on her mind, a lot of women end up taking work home. And when they get home, same thing with fathers, our spouses and kids get the leftovers from us, right? And then when we have days off, we're so tired and exasperated from work, like we trying to catch up on sleep. And then it takes something happen. Our kids stealing, our kids, watching something they shouldn't watch, our kids acting out for us to have a come to Jesus moment to realize that, hey, maybe my kids need more than money. Maybe my kids need me here more than they need a new pair of Jordans. And so that's what I'm saying, is that parenthood, but for the sake of this conversation, motherhood cannot take a backseat to anything, right? The kids are not going to grow up and say, Mom, I'm so glad that you were a boss chick. I'm so glad you ran that company. What's going to be the blessing is what you instilled into them. And I think, like I said, 1 to 7. Now kids get older and you've raised them, they got the foundation. Okay, go out and use your skills. Like you may have a propensity, a knack for trading, or you might be a skilled nurse. Use those skills, but the kid shouldn't have to take a backseat to your development and your desire to fulfill a dream, right? When they have to be the priority, especially early on in life. So that's what I'm saying.
Mr. Mundy, did you?
I was going to say, I appreciate the clarification, Sir Hale. But what I was really going to piggyback on was what you said, Humble Dad, about homeschooling. And I just want to say this about my wife because she's amazing, right? She's homeschooled our kids since they were,
Dominic was 8 and all her life.
And my daughter is 12. So, and my son is on the spectrum, autism spectrum. So she's been doing a lot, as well as, juggling a business. And the good thing about it is that I work from home as well. So they have the benefit of both of us. They can come back in my office and see me, and I, crack a joke and then go back, and then, we can have fun together. So it's been it can happen, but I understand where you're coming from as far as putting them on the back burner and them not getting the full benefit of their parents. So I totally understand that.
Yep.
Can I add something?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
absolutely.
Again, like I said, it goes back to balance, right? And this is why I'm going to say again, and this is why I talk about it a lot. Emotional intelligence and having high emotional intelligence is so important, right? Because if you don't know how to balance one thing to another, it can get skewed in a way. And the mother might, as you say, Sir Hale, bring her business back into the home. But if you understand balance, a lot of times when I talk to people, they are in their feelings about a lot of things and don't take into consideration balance. They think that it has to be one way or the other way, or else it won't work. But the key here is high emotional intelligence, in my opinion, and balance.
So, Hale, you good?
Yes. So I want to say I appreciate that because I'm the same way. So, Humble Dad, I just want to give just a brief testimony. So, like with me and my wife, we went through a situation early on where we were acting foolish. We were straight fool. I was being a straight Negro. That was when I was wearing studs. I was being a straight up Negro. But don't judge me. We'll talk about that later. And so I was raised to believe that a man, your job is to provide money. Like you paid it. That's early in the early 90s. That's essentially when the Cosby Show went off, fathers were the stupid, dumb men. And what you need to do is follow the instructions of the wife and then bring some money home. You guys heard the songs, I don't want no scrub, but scrub is like all that came out. And so I thought that my role was to make money and to do that. And so I do it, and I did it well until my daughter was 2 years old. And I came to visit because we lived in 2 different states. And my daughters looked at me with tears in her eyes. She said, Dad, I don't want you to leave. And she had tears. What's crazy about it took her, my 2-year-old child, to make me realize that my kids needed more than my presence. Like gifts and money. They needed my actual presence. And I say that to say a lot of people who are having kids don't know the value of their presence. This is for men and women. A lot of mothers are having children and they think that by virtue of having them, that's the extent of motherhood. So they are around you. And you can have somebody who's managing you, but disconnected from you. And there's no idea what balance looks like because they're not balanced within themselves. They're not balanced in their own life. They're still trying to heal from their own childhood wounds while trying to raise a healthy child, bleeding parents trying to raise healthy children. And so I say that to say, like Meredith, like you guys have, like me and my wife have, I work from home as well. Shout out to us, shout out to us. I see the difference. I see the difference when there is a concerted effort to raise good children, and then you two got to be good too. Like let's be honest, it can't be all about the kids, because if you make it all about the kids, it creates a level of separation, which of course affects the kids.
100%.
Right? So it's the full thing, and I'm just saying is particularly as Black people, we are the best looking, best dressed, most talented, illiterate, in debt people, because what we have done is we have taken on this capitalistic, this consumeristic mindset where we look better than we actually are. Right. So we'll take pictures of our kids at Disney World, but we are afraid to post report cards. You know what I mean? Like we'll post, the events for prom, but we don't really talk about the college that they're going to. It's because we've bought into the system where it's about show me, it's about events, and it's not about parenting. Show me you sitting down with your kid doing homework, right? Show me your kids cleaning up their room. Like, show me how they respect. Let me see how they talk to people. Do they look them in the eye and show them genuine respect? or are they mouthy and are they disrespectful to people who they don't believe can pop them in the mouth because they're not the parents? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think having parents who are aligned and who put that investment in the children, it produces quality children. So I wanted to clarify that, and thank you for that example, because I think our culture, we need to see and hear about more of that.
That's a fact.
Can I say one more thing? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of people are surprised to hear that we do not spank our children. And because we believe that there is a way that you can raise your child to be kind and caring and respectful without actually physically hurting them. Okay. Another perspective that we had on it, and that we hear from a lot of people and that we see in a lot of people that have been spanked as a child. Yes, they turn out okay. But in a lot of instances, there's a lot of females that enter into abusive relationships with men because they figure in their minds, well, my father hit me and he loves me. My mother hit me and she loves me. Then this person loves me too. So obviously I deserved to be hit for some reason or the other. Vice versa, the same thing with males. A lot of times they go and they're abusive, right? Because they've seen that love can coincide with being hit.
Okay, I got you. Hey, Prototype, welcome to the stage, bro.
Happy to be here.
Listen, bro, you ain't never been this late, just so you know.
Look, man, when you change these show times, man, like
I'm thinking I'm gonna have to change it back, bro. It's like
yeah, I'm coaching now. It's coach season.
Oh yeah. No worries. I was telling Jamie that I was like, man, people said yes to the new time, and then was like, nah to the new time. So no worries. I'm gonna have to figure this out for sure, because I don't want to waste nobody's time. Y'all know how it is.
HD.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on, I wanted to touch on something
that
I think may clarify what we're experiencing here. There's a difference in raising your children to be the apple of your eye versus them being the conviction of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Most times when we pour into our children, it's for our own ego's sake. You know what I mean? Look at my child, look at this and look at that. Instead of asking the child, hey, is there anything that you need, and keeping it there? You know what I mean? Certain things don't need to be put on Instagram. Certain things don't need to be put on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's those moments where you talk to your kid when they've had their heart broken. You know, those are the moments that matter the most. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's a different type of energy too, because when you go to work, it should be for the betterment of the home. Gain that knowledge, gain that experience, and then pass it on to those in the house that need it. That's for men and women. And I think what happens is a lot of times we'll take that energy and twist it, and we'll say, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do all these other things. And everybody's going to see how great I am, instead of taking that information and saying, hey, look, this is what I found out when I was out in the world. Maybe you could use it. And it's an energy of service of to others, to the id versus to the ego. And I think sometimes those are the things that are hard to detect when we're in the service of helping others. It gives the illusion that we're going out with being the best that we could be. But are we really? You know, are we servicing our egos so everybody could take a look at us and see how well that we're doing? Or are we taking what we learn from the world and are we pouring it back into our children or into our spouses? That is a completely unselfish type of energy. I don't know if you've ever dated someone before where everybody asks you, hey, how does she look? You know what I mean? That type of thing. Instead of how does she treat you? Nobody asks you how she treats you. They always ask you, how does she look? You know what I mean? As you get older, the gentleman asks you, well, how does she treat you? You know what I mean? When you're younger, it's how does she look? Because it's an ego thing. Her beauty is a reflection of me and how I am as a man when I'm younger. You see what I'm saying? But as I get older, the happier I get is a reflection of her bringing joy to me because that's something that she wants to do. It's a byproduct of her givingness, willingness to give. And I think sometimes as mothers, we do that as well too, where mothers will actually take what she's experienced and that lack of and say, my children won't have to lack of because of me. And it's that service of the ego that I think people miss instead of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the experience that I had and I'm going to leave that and build upon what I've learned and give it to somebody else unselfishly. So I think sometimes those things get really lost in translation, pun intended, because exactly, pun intended, is because it's a nuance that if you're not paying attention to, it gets lost in what we do because kids pick up on energy. They know whether or not you're actually there for them or are you stunting for the gram for yourself, saying, look at me, how much of a great mother or father I am. So I think there is a difference.
That's good. I would say that hopefully you can get both, that she look good and she treats you well. You feel me?
It helps.
Prototype. We coming to you, man, for this next question. Unless you wanted to say something about motherhood as a vocation. Did you have a thought on motherhood as a vocation?
Vocation, that's a big word. I don't know what that means.
As a job.
I don't know. I can't think of it as a job. I know women do, but I don't think fatherhood is a job. You know, it's a part of me I enjoy being. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that comes from me not having a father, that I enjoy fatherhood so much. So, I mean, I can't really speak to people who grew up with a father if they enjoy fatherhood as much as I do. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's good. I think to add to that, I definitely find myself wanting to be the greatest dad ever. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe it's because of that. And I also at times, like I'll tell Kendra, I was like, man, I just don't think I'm doing well today at being a dad, right? Because I have a particular expectation of myself to make sure that I give my kids what it is that they need, and it's the presence of me in their space, which was what Sir Hale was referring to, and I'm connected to what some of y'all are saying, that some women are not in that space of making motherhood the top priority, right? And if they would make it, I'm not talking about that you start a business and then that's how you navigate trying to have more time with them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is make it a priority to be their mother first before your career is the most important thing. Because if we talk about it from Proverbs 31, hey, she was grinding. You know what I'm saying? If you go
to kind of
bro.
Because I kind of wanted, I don't want to lose the point. He was making a point about women thinking motherhood was a job, and how before you go off and like what a Proverbs 31 woman is.
Okay.
I find more and more that women do think of motherhood as a way of provisioning. I don't see women really wanting to be mothers. They look at it as, I'll do this for you if you take care of me, right? So they're only being mothers to become provided for, not.
I see you as a meal ticket.
Yeah, they're not becoming mothers because they really want to be mothers. They're becoming mothers in sacrifice of providing for. You know, if nobody can provide for me, then I'd rather just get my own bag and not have kids ever. You know what I mean? Like, now we know there's a biological clock at play. Science says that they are, you know, subject to them wanting to be nurturers and XYZ. But for the most part, I don't really see that mothers want to be mothers at all unless it comes with a certain provisioning. And that's why they act in such manner when it doesn't come with that provisioning, right? That's why they put you on child support. That's why they hate you. That's why they put men through all these things when they have kids with them, because they hate it being, they really don't want to be a mother. They hate being mothers, and it's supposed to come with these benefits, and it's not coming with that. So they're going to make your life hell because you're not providing the benefits, because they sacrificed their life, their body, their womanhood to give you a legacy. So I don't really see them nowadays really wanting to be mothers.
I think that's where we were. That's what I was saying. Like I was saying the same thing based on what I see when I'm in the school. Like what I see in the school is a disconnect from, because the majority of the kids that are, we all know this, they're raised by a single mother, right? And so there is a disconnect in how they parent, especially in our culture. And so what I'm saying is, though, the Proverbs 31 woman, she was married, but she was still working and making sure her top priority, though, was the family, is what I'm saying. So that's not my main point, that women need to make family their priority, not their career, because it has caused what we are now, which is we'll transition, we'll hit these, maybe there's one of the last two questions, which is the gender war that we got going on, right? And the gender war is not just what I've been reading, it's not just black people. You know what I'm saying? This is a universal thing that's going on, where women feel a particular type of way about being a wife, and men feel a particular way about wanting to marry the woman that is acting in such a way. So my question that I have is, who has the gender war affected the most? You go ahead, Prototype.
I would say men, because we want the sense of community. I don't think women necessarily care about saving the community or legacy or anything like that. They do it because a man implies it in them, instills it in them. So the ones that do, it's because a man have put that in them. But for the most part, women are selfish. They don't really care about the community or anything like that. They care about self. So whatever's going to get them the best life. So I think men looking to build community and do this for the culture and all that stuff, that's for us to look after. I don't think women care about any of that. I really don't. I really don't think they care about any of it, because they're way too selfish. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't even say, like, even my grandmother's generation or my mother's generation, I can't even say it's just us, our generation and beyond. I really don't recall women truly caring about a sense of community. It's really the man's job, and when the man is not putting that at the forefront of his mission, then that's when everything goes downhill. But women are only doing these things just because if they're getting taken care of and provisioned, they're always survival of the fittest.
Okay, got you. You got strong statements tonight. Who you got going next?
Let's go with Ash Shawnee. Did I say that right?
Shawnee.
It's Shawnee, yes.
Tell me the question again.
The question is, who has the gender war affected the most?
I think that I agree. It has affected men the most, but I agree for a different reason. I believe that women are some of the most unselfish people on the planet. And because of that is the reason that they are pulling back, and this 4B movement is going on in the first place. Okay, when you come from a place when you're not the oppressed, right, in a relationship, you can't sometimes pull back and understand where the woman is coming from, because you have to understand this goes back to women having to have men in their life. They don't have the options. They did not have the options to make money for themselves. They did not have the options to have their own bank accounts, their own credit cards, their own property. They didn't have the options to do that. And they had to take whatever they were given by the man. So because they relied on them. They needed them literally. So when you're in that position, and then there's a bunch of men that got to do whatever they wanted to do, and they did. So when you're in that position and you're a woman and you have a full mind and you're an intelligent individual, that is an oppressive state to be in, especially when you have no choice. So quite naturally, a person is going to rebel if they are not being treated in the way that they should be treated. They're going to rebel when a person gets to do whatever they want to do to them and to their household, and they have to take it. Quite naturally, a person is going to rebel against that, especially if they have a certain level of intelligence and recognize the unfairness of it all. These women movements were not about equality per se. It was about the unfairness of their station in life. I'll pass it to my husband.
I think it's affected men the most. And my reasoning for that is that men, kind of piggybacking off of what she said, men have always had the power, right? We've had the authority over. Women were men's property at one point. Men could dictate everything that went on in their household. And so I think it's more of a power struggle now. I think women are starting to, and this is based off of the people that we talk to. We literally talk to hundreds of people all the time. This is about women wanting to find that power that they know that they have and that they feel that they're missing, because men traditionally, and I'm sure you all could agree, have had the rule. Now that can go back to biblical times because that's how it was back then, and continued throughout the ages that men were the head of the household. But women are starting to see now that they are a part of the household. They are an equal partner in the household. And what they do, granted it does not generate a paycheck, it is a lot. They clean. So you think about it, all the hats that a woman has to wear, especially if she's a mother. She's the cleaning crew. She's the teacher. She's the chef. She's she's part of the maintaining of the home. She's the manager. She's the chief operations officer of the household. She's a wife. She's a mother. Those things carry value, in my opinion, in our opinion. Those are valuable things. Can they be quantified with a dollar amount? No, not really. But if you wanted to do that, you could, based off of the roles that they have to play within the household. And so I think it has affected men the most because first off, it's come on so fast with social media. Had we not had social media, this wouldn't have happened this fast. But the speed and the velocity of the change that's been taking place has affected men the most because they haven't had a chance to adjust to these changes and these big asks that women are asking of men, which is to show us that we are an equal to you. And so I don't think it's to counter your comment, Prototype. I don't think it's that they're selfish. There are selfish women, just like there are selfish men. But I think it's more of a power thing. They want power too within the household, or to be recognized as part of the team and not someone who is an employee or someone who's to be lorded over. So that's where I land on that.
That's what's up. Did you want to respond, Prototype?
Yeah, am I still lagging?
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think men have a problem with equating women to, with power in the home or anything like that if they acted like it. You know what I mean? Like, they still want a man that's going to lead. They don't know what they want to eat. They want a man to pay all the bills. Like, if you want power, put equal equity into this thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do your share. What I'm supposed to just give you power, and you don't got the same blood, sweat, and tears I got in life. You know what I'm saying? That I've invested. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just want to come in and eat good, have a nice place to sleep, heat, water, and all that good stuff, right? But y'all don't want to put no money to it. It's wild to me that we're supposed to just hand over all this power to you guys that we've worked for. You know what I'm saying? We don't mind taking care of you guys, but how you get in here and be like, oh well, your bills is $1,000 a month, and they got $25 to give to it. You know what I'm saying? So like, where's the equity at? So I don't think men mind sharing the equity of power or whatever. I see it all the time for in those kind of situations. But even when women actually get the power, they abuse it. they're terrible leaders. You know what I'm saying? They're tyrants when they get a little bit of power. When they get a little bit of foothold on you, they're packing your stuff. They're kicking you out. They're treating you like dirt. Oh, you don't pay all the bills. You don't do this. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And men don't do that. We're a little bit more empathetic to the women when it comes to those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? We're never holding it over your head like, oh, well, you didn't pay for dinner, so you gonna eat. Like, you know what I mean? And a woman can be a tyrant like that. So I don't think most men mind, especially in the Black community, having equal like 50-50, that's my partner. But when we look to a woman and be like, hey, help us think through life, and we're asking y'all questions about how to solve problems, and y'all just be like, you the man, you figure it out. How are we supposed to respect that and give you equal power? We can't, because we're adulting by ourselves. In most cases, and especially in my peer groups, like women or just an older daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's how y'all act. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know a whole bunch of men who have an equal partner mentally. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Humble Dad, who was like, at least his wife is funny. I mean, I know he feels a lot more about that, but most men feel like, oh, we're only good for entertainment. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Entertainment and food is how y'all treat us. So I don't understand where power come in on it, you know?
Go ahead, Miss Shani.
What type of women are you normally dealing with? Because in my groups that I go with, these are not the type of women that these men have inside their lives. The men on this podcast clearly have women that are doing just that. They have intelligent women. They have respectful women, respectable women. I'm not sure the type of women that you're dealing with and what you're used to dealing with, because to me, that is ludicrous and absurd. I've never heard such a thing. I mean, of course I've heard it, but a lot of times you're going for these types of women that you see physically, that you enjoy being with, but they don't have the necessary mental and emotional mindset that you're looking for, right? So my thing is this. Instead of, I'm not sure if you're single or if you're in a relationship or married or what the case may be, start going out and seeking women that have this type of mentality. If you're going out and you're not having these women and you're not seeking the women with this type of mentality, then I say that you need to switch the type of women that you're going for.
So I hate the notion that attractive people can't be smart, educated too.
Like, I did not say that.
That's basically what you're saying.
No, I did not. I said a lot of women.
You said you're going for the looks. Like, why can't I be attracted to the spouse just as much as her brain? It just so happens that even if she's not attractive, it's the same thing. It doesn't change across the board, and her education level really doesn't matter either. Like, I have people in my peer group that are married to lawyers, doctors, whatever. And it's the same thing. We're all like, hey, we got an extra daughter in the house. It's never and that's what women want to be. They want princess treatment, especially when you hear it on social media. They want to be treated like a princess, never a queen. They all want to be a princess treatment, X, Y, Z. Like, you know what I'm saying? No woman ever wants to like help carry the load or help think. I think in the Black community, we're looking for that. But women be like, I'm not your mother. Oh, now you're my mother because I want you to help me think about a problem or not. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so much things that come with it. Like, it's not what women are you dealing with? This is like our experience. So you can say that from your perspective of who you're dealing with, but men are openly telling you, this is what we're finding, this is what we're doing. And it has nothing to do with looks or anything. Because I got peer groups with ugly wives and I got peer groups with beautiful wives. And they all saying the same thing.
Crazy as a statement. Hey,
I know, right? But it is what it is.
For the sake of the argument, say who you got going next.
I think she's asking Shani because I put it on.
Oh, sorry, Shani. Who you got going next? I think because Monday went.
Yeah.
Who you got going, Monday?
Yes, I'm going to pass it to Miss Jamie because she's been having faces this whole time. So I want to hear what
she has been having faces for sure. I appreciate y'all, man.
It's been a lot. I'm going to say answer that nobody said yet. So the gender war has affected, to me, the most our youth. And we can see it. So because of the contention between men and women, the lack of understanding roles and actually getting along together has brought about confusion in our children. So, and we could see it. Like, that's why they're not able to make decisions on their own. There's anger, frustration. Look at the sexual revolution. I'm just going to say revelation, and the community that they have now, where they just do what they want or how they feel, right? And this all because the reason why this contention has caused this confusion is because the sphere of influence and the environment that these kids are raised in matters. Like, when we see our parents together and they're getting along, or they know what their roles are, then we're able to function like that. And subconsciously we do. Subconsciously we're learning what our roles are in society. And these kids, they don't have that. They have people arguing all the time. And then when they go on social media, they see, clips of people saying that it's okay to live this type of life, or it's okay to do this, or it's okay to twerk and work, or whatever. It's okay to do these things. And so as parents, as we're arguing and we're in confusion, we hand our kids an electronic device, and the electronic device is teaching our kids how to be humans outside of the outside in this world. And so we have lazy kids too. We have kids that, like, youth, you hire them and they don't take no initiative, a majority of the time, to even say, they could see something on the floor and walk over it 10 times, and you looking at them like, bruh, I know you've seen that paper. I know you've seen that paper. And so if you give them a job, if you don't tell them exactly what to do, then they're not going to do it. They won't do anything. When I was growing up, it was like, oh, I got a job, I'm gonna do stuff so that they can know, like, I can work. But these kids, because we are so distracted, we are not living out roles, and our roles are important. We are not showing great examples to these kids. The youth is affected, which then it will affect us, because the youth are the ones who are getting the job. Like, that's why we go places and we're like, oh, the customer service was trash, right?
That's a fact.
And so that's my answer. That is my answer. The youth is definitely affected due to our confusion and our contention amongst one another. And that's black or white, right? Like, that's any race that I've seen across the board. Who hasn't gone? Sir Hell, did you go? Or Ash? Ash, you didn't go. Ash doesn't want to be last, though. So, and that rhymed, actually.
You better not follow me. I'll show you that. I'm waiting.
Yeah, Lost hasn't went yet either. It's only been 3 people.
So pick your poison, Ash. Do you want to follow me, or do you want to follow Sir Hell?
Well, hey, let's go ahead and get in there with the poison. I'm gonna agree with Jamie. It's the youth, because we're not making decisions. Everybody is living this. I'm gonna put it as chaos, living in chaos. That's just how to simply put it, because what is it? Do as thy will. That's what everybody doing, and ain't nobody doing nothing constructive for these children. And like Jamie said, when you go somewhere, I have set hours where I do not visit certain places. I do not go out on the weekend anymore to certain places because the customer service is trash. Like, I just was in Target yesterday, and I'm looking for the person that's in the game section because I'm itching to buy a new game, right? Because I had no lights. I had to find some way to occupy myself. And I'm looking, and the little dude is just walking around, not in the section. He everywhere but where he need to be. He's not discovered. You at work. And I had groceries because I'm trying to get stuff so we can eat without, really using lights, trying to think outside the box. And he's like, oh, well, I can't check all that out. I said, what kind of Target is this? We ain't never had this. Girl, let's walk to the front. Okay, can you walk my game to the front so I can check out all my things? Because I'm not going to check out here and then walk up to the front and sit in another line and check out. That's crazy. So, it's our youth. It's like, you rather stand around, get paid, and look at your phone all day. That's not what you're here for, And I believe it's us, because we have got this lax and, oh, when we come to work, we don't have to do this. We just got to entertain for the paycheck. No, like, give us quality customer service. That's why we're here. That's why people like me, I hate going in the store. Like, come school shopping, you will not catch me in the store unless it's for shoes. And then you still might not catch me in there. Because it's like, if I'm trying to converse with you or ask you something, at least know what you're talking about. Oh, that's not what it is. Oh, baby, this is too much attitude, and I'm too grown for this. This is straight to jail moment. And it's like when we're not parenting our youth, and we're just sitting here saying, "Hey, do what you want, go to work, do what you want." Well, where's the leadership? And that's why I had to say, where are the people in the church? It used to be women running around here telling you, hey, that ain't the way of the Lord. It's like, what happened to that generation of people? It's like everybody just stopped and started doing everything that they want to do. And that's why I don't understand this whole women empowerment stuff. Yeah, go get a job. Yes, contribute to your household, but at the same time, act accordingly. You don't have to be buck wild. I mean, what's the point of being buck wild? You seeing, what is it? A trend in the STDs going all the way up. What's that's my favorite song. I'm going all the way up.
Especially in
It's like,
the
what?
youth.
Like, what are we doing? Sometimes you got to come back to reality. Like, what are we saying to our children? Because now, what is this thing called furry? The kids get to go to school and act like a doggone pet. Like, what? Excuse me, you mean you tell me you sending not Tom out, you sending Charles the cat out? Like, we teaching our kids that we can do whatever, and just, it's okay. Everybody had to accept bad behavior. Like, what is wrong with discipline? I'm big on discipline, as y'all can kind of tell. It's like, why can't we do discipline? What is the harm in discipline? Hey, whatever method work for your kid is whatever work for your kid, but why can't we do discipline? Why is it, oh, that's little Tommy, he'll work it out when he get older, but yet little Tommy over here trying to kill up everybody because everybody's not on the same page with him or going with his antics. And I'm gonna kick it off the loss because I know that poison over there is brewing.
Thank you, Ashley. Um, to answer HD's original question, who has the gender war affect the most? I'm gonna be the one to go out and say it. It's the women, and I'm gonna tell you why. There's this line in the Bible that gives us a clue to what's really going on, and he said, God told Adam, "Who told you you were naked? Who told you that you were not enough?" I think women have been sold a bill of goods that they're not enough. And to me, I think that's the insecurity that the enemy plays on women as if they're not enough. They will tell women, if you buy this, you'll be more beautiful. Or if you get this job, you'll have more respect. If you do this, then you'll do that. When God put you on this earth, he already gave you dominion over everything. So who told you you were naked? I think a lot of times, man, we have to get back to realize exactly what's going on. The reason why I say it's women is because men are not affected by what somebody else say, so to speak, because we deal with that a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Either we handle this like some gentlemen or we can get into some gangster stuff. That's how men handle things. But for the most part, we're diplomatic because we don't want to come to fisticuffs, because at the end of the day, we're going to wind up going to get a beer anyway. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I say it's women is because men so much fundamentally haven't changed. Men still want to provide. Men still want to do the things that men do. They still want to take care of their women. But for some reason, someone told women that they were naked. Who told you you were not enough? If you go back and you look at the pyramids in antiquity of all over the world, there are men and women there of equal stature. Women have always played a pivotal role in society. And for someone to come up and tell you that you were not enough, I ask again the question, who told you you were naked? And I'll put it to you like this. Women fall prey to a lot of manipulation. And I think sometimes we use that in a wrong way. Sometimes we can listen to other women as a means for survival. There's danger over here. I heard that there's danger over here. Don't go over there. But at the same time, I don't think if we filter things enough the right way, we can do more harm than good. I'll give you an example. The aforementioned 4B movement is something that is of extremists in South Korea. And basically the whole gist of that particular situation was that the women are saying that, hey, there's not enough money to raise kids. They want to be married. So much so is that they have services that they pay for matchmaking to find a husband. But for those who want to hijack someone else's talking points, they will take that, if you haven't done the research, and attach it to something else, pretty much how this more recent feminist movement have done. And generally, if you haven't been tuned to listen to those type of things, as we do in these spaces, because we do our research, because we hate having egg on our face when we come back and find out we're wrong. You know, we go back and we find out, oh, this is just another attempt of somebody else trying to soothe their inadequacies by hijacking somebody else's situation, when somebody else's situation is completely different. It's the women who have been affected the most because somebody told them they were naked. And I'm challenging women today. Ask yourself, who told you that? And why did they tell you that? Because God himself already said you're enough. As a matter of fact, God himself already said that you are the answer, which ultimately answers the major question of this podcast. He looked at Adam and said, Adam, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make you a helper. And he gave woman the right to be the answer. He told you that you are enough. So again, ladies, who told you you were naked? Sir Hal.
So I've enjoyed everybody's answers. I need to take the temperature though. Is everybody in here Christian faith for the most part?
We're not
For the
Christian.
most part.
No Christian faith. Okay. Yeah, because
he was raised Muslim. I was raised Christian.
okay. Yeah, so I'm kind of understanding some of the dynamics and what we talk about. So here's my answer, humble dad. I agree with the majority of what everyone has said, but we're so broken and we're so ununified that we can make a distinction between who is affected the most. You know, if you're shot in your leg, your leg feels it, but your whole body does. When you're connected, it affects who more because we are unified. And I think this speaks to where we are, particularly as Black people, that this is the crux of how arguments begin. We start trying to quantify who has more hurt. So women are suffering more, men are suffering more, the kids are suffering more. And then once we have that mindset, we start to put all the attention to assuage and to soothe the pain that the one party is speaking of, whether or not that pain is justified or not. And then somebody is neglected because we are so busy isolated instead of unified. So in short, my answer is everybody's affected. It's impossible for me to love my wife and her hurt and I not hurt. It's impossible for my sons and my daughters to hurt and I not be affected by that. And I think this speaks to our deep need to reconnect at a level that's deeper than these political phases that we're going through that weaponizes movements, that takes on the worst of people's situation, and then we marketize it and then we call it suffering. Let me just be frank. America has a way of sampling culture and making it our own because it creates a narrative and we get a chance to market to you, right? So if I market oppression, then now I can tell you there's a certain way you need to go get all these degrees and spend $30,000 on a degree and be in debt for years on a degree that you'll never use. You see what I'm saying? Because you've taken suffering and you've marketed it. Black people, we don't got time to be looking at who's it affected the most. It's affected us all. If my wife is hurt, I'm hurt. If the husband is hurt, wife, you should be hurt. We got to get back together as a family. When one hurts, we all hurt. And it's no longer about, I need you to cater to me. I cater to you. We got to cater to one another, and we got to let the healing begin. That's my answer, Humble Dan. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, man, that was good. I was transitioning to think about the question. You know, I was on the side of that. I understood everybody's position. My first thought process was that it was the children being affected. Then I was like, okay, the men are being affected. Then I was like, okay, the women are being affected. But if I'm in that mind space, then that obviously means that everybody is being affected, because a war, when a war is taking place, everybody's gonna get hit in some particular magnitude, right? Whether it's the man that went out to war, he's gone. The wife is affected because she now has to take on the burden of him not being there, and as well as having to deal with the grief of herself as well as the children, right? So if we look at it from that disposition, everybody is affected, and everybody may be affected differently, and so what has happened, as I'll transition to the last question, what has happened is that the advertisement of the media towards the woman has been similar to how the devil did, right? The devil did not attack Adam. He attacked the woman, even though Adam was there. He went for her because she was the weaker vessel, not in the sense of that she is not equal or in that particular magnitude, but that he knew that he could talk to her as opposed to talk to the man. And so if you fast forward to where we are now and how marketing works, marketing tries to get to the person that they know that will spend the most and the most often. And if you go ahead and go look at the research and you'll see that single women spend more than married women. Okay. And so if I can advertise to keep women single, then that means that I know that the economy is going to flourish a little bit more as it relates to financially. However, they're cool with the detrimental phase of the family going down. So what I'm saying is, and I continue to say this, is that if we could have it would be a different situation if men were in the house, but it's not. That's not where we at. Where we are is that women are as single mothers, and I was raised by a single mother, right? Shout out to my mom. She be in these chats as well. However, she could not teach me how to be a man. Okay, there's no way that she could teach me how to be a man. Okay, so as a single mother, and any single mother, what I would advise with you having a kid in the household is for you to live in a way that you would want that kid to say, you know what, my mom was so dope. I would want to be with somebody like her, or I want to be like her. But however, what's going on right now, that a lot of women are on this rampage of, I'm independent, but I want to be married, and I want to have a man take care of me, but I don't want to do wifely duties. Like, that's what's going on in the space. I kid you not, I thought it was not the case until 3 years ago, until I got into this space. And being on panels, doing research, talking to women, talking to men, what has happened is that the media is now saying, listen, the best way to get to the family is through the woman. They did it when what was it? Civil rights took place, when feminism took place. That's what is going on right now. And so I'm saying that the answer to us right now is obviously to come together, but we got to say, where is our pain point at? And our pain point right now, and what I've seen, is that if women would say, you know what, I told you this before, Jamie, if women would set the standard. Hello, Miss Shani? If women would set the standard.
Me?
Oh no, you was.
I'm sorry, you trying to get the charger.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
Would set a new boundary of what type of man can enter their space. Dudes have to change. We have to change, right? I don't know if it's I'm gonna try. What's his? He's a kickboxer, real famous dude, real kind of buff. He just recently got married. He's semi-famous in the Black community. He probably like a C-lister, and he was talking about how He knew that he did not qualify for the woman that he had, and he had to change his behavior, and he had never been faithful to a woman before. But because of her disposition, he had to change. The reason why it's like that now is because women are in control of who they date. Prior to, they had to come through the dad, but it's not like that anymore. So women have to, women that are not from a place of being raised by a mom and a dad, the game has changed. And so you have to change your boundaries. You should not let a dude into you without being married. You should not let a man even into your equation if he don't talk about marriage. If he not led by if whatever the religion is, mine is Christianity. If he not led by somebody of spiritual substance, it's going to be hard for him to be a moral, upstanding dude. So with that being said, I'm gonna end the show like this. And y'all gonna keep it short for me, okay? Because I already been on my high horse. And since we're talking about women, this is all I want. I've already said my piece. You say yours. How can women help end the gender war? How can women help end the gender war? What you got, Jamie? We'll go Jamie, Ash, Lost, and Sahel.
Well, it would be applying the things that you had said, but also creating spaces for women to hold women accountable, right? So seriously, like really, being like, hey, I thought you said you weren't going to date that type of person no more, sis. Why are you doing that? Like really teaching one another how to have a higher standard and sticking to it. And that's it. Really, it is really investing in one another and wholeheartedly, without like ulterior motives or unhealed, trauma, and you're pushing that off on your sister, and you're like, you don't need a man. You're trying to keep them single too, but trying to teach one another how to be wives. First, how to submit to Christ, because if you're not able to submit to Christ, you really won't be able to submit to your husband, right? And so taking your relationship with your creator seriously will ultimately teach you how to be a wife and to pick the right man, like, and how to, when he says that he found you, to know that that is the man that God sent. You know what? I'm gonna add one more thing. That a woman should be so hid in Christ that he has to find Christ to find her, right? It's that covering and that protection to be under the shadow of the Almighty. And therefore, by being under that shadow, that also helps train the women around you, and then your husband, and hopefully men do the same thing too. Again, but men will have to step up, because there's not going to be accessibility to women like it is now. I guess my question too, and this is my throwing out there for men, is how do we, the women that are women of the night, right? Like, how do we like stop that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of, I'm just trying to figure out like, what do men have to have a standard too in this? Is it just going to be?
We talked about that last week.
Okay. So we're gonna go.
We talked about the men's position for the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
What guys need to do. Remember, to answer that question, we talked about specifically. We said, dudes, y'all need to stay off these sites.
Right.
We talked about that. We said, men, you're giving women an out. We talked about that.
Okay. And the women, I guess we really need to take those type of women under our wings.
If so, choose.
Yeah, we will have to, if we take them under their wings, find their pain points and work on healing one another, they'll stop too. They're looking for something, they're missing something. So that's my answer. I am gonna go with Miss Shawnee.
What's the question again? I'm sorry, we missed it. The battery went out.
No worries. The question that we ending off the show is, how can we talk? Well, y'all wasn't here, but we've talked about men. But how can women help in gender war?
Oh, wow. I think that sometimes we do get caught. Now, I just tend to have a broader way of looking at things and not look at things from one perspective, because when you do that, you can't get a full picture, right? So I try to see things from all ends of the spectrum, and sometimes my opinion about things may come off as very strong, but I think I'm just more passionate about things in general. But I think that women can do things like what I do and what we do, and instead of pushing. We talked about 4B on on our channel, but it was only briefly, right? Because we didn't want to perpetuate it and keep it going, because there are some very lovely people out there, some very lovely men out there, some very lovely women out there, but that does not negate the fact that there are people with a narrow, one-sided perspective on things that keep people butting heads against one another. So what we do is try to put out positive things that people can do in relationships, and I speak about positive things that people can do in relationships in general, from both sides. We try not to make it a woman-man thing, because when you do that, here come the men fighting, then here come the women fighting. So we try to make it a thing that both sides can do to make relationships better in general. And I feel like if women speak up a little bit more on the positive attributes of marriage, and people that are in positive and good relationships with men, like the one that I have, I think he's positively the best man on the entire planet. I might be biased, but that is just me. I think if we speak more to positive relationships, the positive attributes of the men in our lives, I think things can turn around a lot better. But a lot of our voices are not being heard. A lot of times when we are pushing positivity, we are getting pushed down and not getting shown by these algorithms, because they would like to perpetuate what do you call it, the negative, right? Because the salaciousness of everything, because it sells, right? It gets people all fired up. But I feel like if we collectively, like you guys, are pushing out a more positive material, that will help people see things a little bit differently.
That's what's up. And just so you know, nobody takes offense to anything what you say and who you are. This particular place is, I've designed it to be for you to say what you want to say, and as long as you are saying it respectfully, that's all that matters to me. So, the dialogue is always welcome, even when because people grow when there's a disagreement more so than you're always on the same page.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I think you're going to go ahead. You want to choose somebody?
Sir Hill.
Oh, you going outside the box? Okay.
That's how I do.
That's what's up.
So I want to give everybody a disclaimer. I am a traditional man. I want to set this out so you guys don't look at me and think that I'm being chauvinistic or anything of that nature. I'm a traditional man. I'm unapologetic about it. Women need to be quiet and follow.
Just apologize for it, sorry. You literally just apologize.
Yeah, women need to learn how to submit and follow the man that's in their life, and quit worrying about power struggles. Power for what? Like, what do we need power for? What do you need it for? Like, what are we going to do with this power except for struggle? And who's going to be the lead? Who's going to be the head? Women have to get to a place where if you want a man, quit being one. Let your man be who he is and lead, and find some value in substance and in some joy in being a woman. If you have a strong man, the way women weaken men, she is the closest thing that can make him be insecure or to make him confident. And if you want to end the gender war, just stop fighting. Why do we have to go and fight the world and fight at work and fight to be something, fight in our blackness, fight everybody, and then come in to fight with you because you have an inner conflict where you feel you need to have power to win? What? To win? What are we using this power for? Who is this power against? Ladies, I need you, I need my ladies, particularly my Black sisters. Y'all have sold in and bought into this rhetoric that is dangerous, making you feel. You talked about Eve. The thing that the serpent did to her was made her believe she needed more. She had everything. She didn't have a job. Her job was to make sure that the one was working was good. Everything else was taken care of. But she had to know some more. She had to have some more knowledge, had to know some more wisdom. And then as a result of her messing up, because she has the influence over her husband, man has the authority over woman, but women have the influence over her man. She influenced him to do things that he shouldn't have done. I want my Black women to be okay with being women, to be okay with being loved, to be okay with being soft. And this does not mean that you can't be soft or intelligent or educated. You can't be industrious. It just means that you're not supposed to be who you are against me. There should be some pride for you to say that you're my wife. It should not just be where I have to be doting of my wife and have to dummy down, and I can't let my nuts hang because she's going to be offended and because she got nuts too. No, it's a reason you got a womb. We both can't have wombs. We won't have a productive family that way. I need our women, particularly women of faith, to have faith. And if it don't match with the word, if it doesn't match with your belief system, then just stop doing it. My sisters, let your man be a man and be okay with being his lead. And then men have a social responsibility as well to make sure that we're not domineering and that we deal with our wives according to knowledge, and that the destiny, that the gifts and talents in her have been nurtured to the degree where she is better as a person because of the influence that we have over her life. So it ain't just men getting something out the deal, women are getting it as well. Because of course, us men, we love our women.
That's what's up. Who you got going?
Let's go with I'm gonna go with my bearded, bald-headed brother, brother Mondi.
All right. Well, I appreciate what you were saying there. And just to kind of circle back on what you were saying a little bit, and I think it might have been on something that I said earlier about power. The power that I'm talking about is not power against their spouse. It's power together. You see, it's both of them bringing their power together to be a power couple so that they can move forward in the world and be powerful together. It's not about implementing power against somebody, showing that, well, I'm the boss or I've got this and that. No, that's not what I meant. What I mean is we acknowledge that this person here is valuable and brings something to the table that can help us become better. You don't have a Barack Obama without a Michelle. You know, you have to have somebody there who is, you know, for lack of a better term, because I'm an amateur in the Bible, but equally yoked. You know, they have to be right where you are. I have that. I have a partner. We share power in the sense that we share duties, we share thoughts, we share ideas. If there's something that I'm lacking, she picks up. If there's something that she's lacking, I pick up. We know our strengths and we know our weaknesses and we know where to fill in to help each other. I'm happy that I have that because this is, if something were to happen to me, I know she could step in. So I would say for women, how they could end the gender wars is, you know, just acknowledge, like I think Law said it, you're good enough. And I'll add to that you're worth something. You have value. You add value. You can bring something to the table. So I'll leave it at that. And I think, is it Ash? Did you go?
It's on Ash.
Ash, it's on me.
I would say stop with the delusion. That's just pretty much it. That sums up what everybody said. It's the delusion that you feed into with the social media. Because my thing is, I always tell my kids, do your best. Don't look for my opinion on what you need to do because we don't have the same skill set. Like I always brag about my oldest, she plays the trumpet. I mean, she plays it very well. And I say, go after whatever you want to do with that trumpet. If you break it, I'll buy you another one, which I just had to do and I didn't want to. But, you know, you do those things just to instill that, hey, if that's your purpose, go ahead. And I think, like, as a woman, that we don't follow through with going with our purpose. We fall in this delusional land as if I don't even know what to call it because it's delusional to just think that things are going to happen and it's just going to be magic and unicorns and bubblies and no, because you have to work at something. Like you have to sharpen your craft. Because Lost asked me a couple shows back, "Am I sharpening my craft to be a wife?" And I had to be honest. No, I'm sharpening my craft as a mother because that's my primary focus right now. You know, and I think when women just take a turn and just be truthful with yourself about where your shortcomings is. It's not a flaw. It's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay to say you're hurt. It's okay. And I think that's another place that we don't allow ourselves to be okay. We put in and play into with this delusion. And that's why I say it's the delusion that we need to stop. Because if we end the delusion, we can fix ourselves and then we can go out and help everybody else. But we can't do that if we're in the Delulu, as my sister called it Friday, the Delulu land. If you in Delulu land, how you know what's reality? Like what's with the fakeness? The blinders got to come off sometime. You got to come off. Where these ideas come from? Because some of them ain't even yours. The woman that you see that's being portrayed, that's not who you want to be. It's just a character to play like Jamie said earlier, on your emotions. But that's not even who you are. So why play into that role? Know who you are. Self-reflect and stay out of Delulu land. Because you got to come out of there at some time. Because if you don't, you're just going to get hurt. And that's the problem with some of these relationships. Like I said, the delusion goes into many aspects, but we're going to keep it short. But if you come out of delusion and live in reality and just be honest with yourself, I think we can end this gender war. Because I don't even understand how it got started. That's another topic for my lack of education because I ain't been in the dating scene. So I'm just saying I don't even understand how it starts because why are you fighting with somebody that you want to be with? That's the thing I never understood. Like how you gonna be with this man, but you're fighting over finances, the kids, the food, whatever, when neither one of y'all have invested any time. Y'all just invested in the pictures. Again, the delusion of having a good relationship but nobody's actually doing the foundation, the building of the relationship. And who didn't go? Lost?
Everybody went.
Oh, I was last and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Last shall be first.
I don't think Lost win.
Lost, you didn't go on this? Oh,
That's
my
what I'm
bad.
saying. I thought Lost
I want
go.
to speak when I'm spoken to, sir.
That's my fault, bro. Go ahead and wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
Listen, one of my favorite movies is 300. And when Leonidas met against with the other clans that he wanted to war with, and the guy looked at him, he was like, "You only have 300 men." He said, "I got more than what you think." And he looked at the other guy, and Leonidas looked at his arm. He said, "You, sir, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a farmer." And looked at the other guy. He said, "You, sir, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a carpenter." And then he looked over his Spartans. He said, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they said, "Oh," you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Those guys knew who they were. They knew that they were warriors. You see what I'm saying? They knew what their profession was. So to answer the question is, how can women help the gender war? Be better wives. Be better women. You know what I'm saying? Be better mothers. That's what you're good at. You see what I'm saying? That is your profession. You know what I mean? I always say that men make terrible wives and women make even terrible husbands. You know what I'm saying? And Ashley, I tell you, I say this all the time. I say selfish women shouldn't be wives. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they will take the focus off what's more important, which is the family, and take it and put it on themselves. Well, how does that service the family if the ego for the wife is always being serviced? You see what I'm saying? And I would say that with men as well, too. How can you be a better leader as a man if everything goes to you? You know what I mean? But I think it is something ingrained in men where they want to do for the family. Nobody questions it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've never heard another man say, "Hey man, I got these new J's, but what are your kids wearing, brother?" You know what I'm saying? How are you taking care of your family? We will quickly check another man and say, "Hey man, how your family doing? Why are you out here messing around?" You know what I'm saying? How's your wife doing? We'll kind of check each other, but I don't think most times women don't do that. It's like, girl, you better have a backup plan, or you better have some money stashed aside in case things don't go right. You know what I mean? But my thing is this: I think you should probably be better at customer service at being women. Think about it. whenever you go to Chick-fil-A, it's a difference. You know, you walk into the door and they greet you with a smile. You know what I mean? The food may not be that much different, but it's the atmosphere. You know what I mean? They always say it's my pleasure. And you kind of believe it too. You know what I mean? If you go to Burger King, it's like you sitting 20 minutes in the drive-through, and it's like, brother, what are y'all doing back there? Y'all killing the cow? You know, y'all raising the
would
baby
you pull
cow?
up a little bit, sir? Would you pull up? We'll bring it out to you.
I'm just saying, pull up to the front. We'll get to you when we can. And to me, I think most men will look at women these days of being Burger King, you know, employees. It's like it's never their pleasure. You know, it's just pull around. I get to you when I can. You know what I mean? I was raised on women who were saying it's my pleasure. Women came to us and said, baby, have you had anything to eat today? You know what I mean? How are you feeling today? And to me, that resonates because that lets them know that I'm important. And if I'm important, that means I'm going to ask somebody else the same thing. Hey, how are you doing today, sister? How are you doing today, brother? You know what I mean? Because you never know where that love is going to go when you let it go. So to answer your question, Sir Hale, how can women help the gender war? Just be better women. That's it. That's all I got to say. Thank you for having me.
Man, thank y'all for being here. It's been a dope show. Y'all have been marvelous and wonderful. Thank you for your time. Hey, make sure y'all check out Lost in Translation on every syndication in these streets. You got Sir Hale Speaks. He's always posting something on IG or the YouTube for sure. I think y'all doing a conversation with women, aren't you? Is that every now and then? So y'all just follow.
Yeah, so I'll be back doing my shows starting this week.
That's a bet. Okay, so follow him, and then Ash is on IG. Her and her bus routes. You know what I'm saying? All those things in between, and then Ash, Shani, and Monday. How can we find you? I know you're on IG. Or y'all also?
Yeah, we're on IG. We're on YouTube and TikTok
under the same name, Ash, Shani, and Monday.
Yeah,
that's a bet. We really appreciate y'all being here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all.
Learned a lot from you guys, and we would love to hear from you again.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be reaching out. And a shout out to It's Me, Jamie. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for being here as usual. And y'all can catch her on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? She sends out daily, I guess, inspirational pretty much every day. So shout out to her. I really want to thank y'all. It's been real. I felt like a Pentecostal church. Y'all just didn't know when to let it go. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna let it go right here. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see them about to impact the world.